Okay, this video is just to demonstrate using the clone stamp tool. So here we have a photo just of a ruin, a kind of derelict building, and we're going to build an interesting composition with it. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this security light here, which kind of ruins the effect of this being abandoned. So I'm going to go to the clone stamp tool and simply set my brush up in size. And I'm going to hold down Alt or Option and click in this area where there's some kind of grungy wall. And then I'm just going to paint over that. So you can see the cross is where we're cloning from over where the light is. So because the texture is kind of random, it actually works pretty well. No one's going to take the time to actually see that we've cloned from there. Right, so the next thing I want to do is actually clone some stuff into this window area. So I'm going to use the Polygonal Lasso tool, and I'm going to select a rectangular area inside this window. Okay. Let me just right click and transform my selection. I just want it to be a little bit bigger there. Okay, that's not so good. Let me just do that again. So I'm going to go a little bit over this time. Okay. Oh, that's better. Okay, back to the clone stamp tool, and then I'm going to go to Window, Clone Source. Okay, and this allows me to set 5 different sources. So I'm going to switch to the trees image here, and I'm going to be on the source 1 slot, and I'm going to hold down Alt, and I want to clone this sort of area of vegetation. So I'm just going to click, and that sets that as a source. Then I'm going to switch to the second clone area, and I'm going to hold down Alt, and I want to clone this area here. Okay, so I have 2 different clone areas that I can switch between. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to start with my first clone area, set my brush up nice and big, and I'm just going to randomly start painting and clicking. Now, can you see the way what it's actually doing is it's cloning the building as well? So in other words, it's staying aligned, which is not what I want, because now I've literally just painted some of that image in. That's not what I want. So I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to go back here, and this time when I set my sources, I'm going to go up to the top here and put aligned off. And then I'm going to Alt click to make my source, and go to the second slot and Alt click and make my source. So now watch what happens when I go back to the first source and I start painting. Every time I release, it jumps back to the original source. So I'm not just painting an image back here, I'm painting the same part of an image, which is exactly what I want. And then I'm going to switch between the 2 different sources to randomly cover this area. What I don't want is an obvious kind of patterning, which I've actually now got. So I'm going to just go in here and break that up a little bit. Okay, so that's using the clone stamp tool without aligned on. What if I wanted to actually put a proper image in here using the clone stamp tool? So I'm going to go to the landscape image, and I'll just go to the clone source 3, and with aligned off still, I'm going to hold down Alt and click in the middle here to set my source. Now when I come back here, if I now start painting, you'll see first of all the image is too small, and secondly, every time I release my mouse and carry on painting, it jumps back to the original position. Not what I want. So I'm going to undo that, go back here. Now I'm going to put aligned on, Alt or Option, click in the middle to set my source. Then I'm going to go back here And if I just hold for a second, I can see this image is way too small, so I'm going to go to the width and the height here, and I'm going to set that up. Let's set it up to about 380%. Okay, so now when I go to the middle and I click to start painting, as soon as I click, it sets the alignment option on, and then whenever I release and go back, it just carries on painting the image from where I left off, so it doesn't keep jumping back to the original source. So that's two ways of using the clone stamp source tool. One is with aligned on, one is with aligned off, and of course you have your clone source panel to help you manage your sources. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you next time.